US President Donald Trump has just delivered an emergency address regarding the war in the Middle East. At the moment when Iran finally rejected the United States peace proposal and began attacks on energy facilities and even desalination plants in the Middle East. The US will completely destroy Iran's energy sector and oil production if the country's new, more reasonable leadership does not reach an agreement with Washington and unblock the Strait of Hormuz. Such a statement from Trump shocked many today. According to him, the countries have managed to make significant progress in negotiations to end the war. But Iran suddenly changed its mind, and that's why the US is ready to bomb Iran's entire energy sector. In response, Iran stated that Trump's peace plan is unrealistic and they reject it. And then, suddenly and unexpectedly for many, Trump announces that there has already been a regime change in Iran and they are negotiating with the new authorities of Iran who are more agreeable than the previous Ayatollah regime. My name is Pechiy. Let's discuss this topic together, but before we start, I ask you to subscribe to this channel, give it a like, and leave any comment under this episode. If you want to support the work of this YouTube channel and consider the information here important and necessary, you can do so with any donation, paid subscription, or sponsorship. All the links and details are in the description of this video or in the pinned comment under this episode. In addition, subscribe to my Telegram channel Pechiy News. The link to it is in the description of this video. So, Donald Trump said today that the United States will completely destroy. They will continue to target Iran's energy and oil production if the new leadership of the country does not reach an agreement with Washington and does not unblock the Hormuz Strait. And now I'll give you a long quote from Donald Trump. The United States of America is engaged in serious negotiations with the new and more reasonable regime with the goal of ending our military operations in Iran. Significant progress has been made, but if for any reason an agreement is not reached in the near future, although most likely it will be reached, and if the Hormuz Strait is not immediately opened for business, although it is most likely to be opened, we will end our pleasant stay in Iran by blowing up and completely destroying all their power plants, oil wells, and Khark Island, and possibly all desalination plants as well. Countries that we have deliberately not touched so far. This will be retribution for our many soldiers and other people whom Iran has tortured and killed over 47 years of the old regime's reign of terror. Well, this statement by the president came the day after he announced that Tehran had supposedly agreed to most of the US's 15-point plan to end the war, which was delivered through intermediaries in Pakistan. In response, let me remind you, Iran put forward 5 of its own conditions, including maintaining control over the Hormuz Strait. Moreover, in Iran, they are already enshrining in law a provision stating that even after the war, Iran will retain sole ownership of the Hormuz Strait and will charge a fee for every ship passing through the strait. Let me remind you that earlier, on March 21, Donald Trump demanded that Iran open the strait within 2 days, 48 hours, threatening otherwise to destroy all power plants in the country. However, after the ultimatum expired, Trump stated that the US and Iran had very good and productive negotiations. In this regard, according to the president, he instructed the Pentagon to postpone strikes on Iranian energy facilities for another 5 days. When those 5 days ended as well, Trump again stated that the negotiations were simply wonderful. Therefore, strikes on Iran's infrastructure will be postponed for another 10 days, that is, until the evening of April 6th American time. And today he says again that the negotiations are going wonderfully. In Iran, they are openly laughing at these ultimatums now. The representative of the Iranian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Esmail Baghai, stated that the 15-point list of US demands for ending the conflict contains mostly excessive, unrealistic, and unfounded demands, which contradicts previous statements by US President Donald Trump that Iran allegedly agreed to a lot. Требований из этого перечня. Baghai added that there are currently no direct negotiations between Iran and the US, noting that messages from Washington are only being conveyed through intermediaries. He added that Iran has not participated in any recent meetings organized by Pakistan with countries in the region, noting that they are taking place within a framework that Iran does not agree with. Moreover, there is a very important point here. Iran, let me remind you, threatened to strike desalination plants in the Middle East region if Trump carries out his threat to destroy the country's energy sector. Trump is only threatening for now, but Iran has already crossed the line. Kuwait's Ministry of Energy reported on Monday morning that Iran struck a desalination plant and a power station in the country. Analysts from the Persian Gulf countries, which are critically dependent on the supply of desalinated water, stated that strikes on such specific, in fact critically important infrastructure indicate a significant escalation of the conflict. But the strangest statement by Donald Trump concerned the new regime in Iran. Trump suddenly announced that there were ongoing contacts between Washington and Tehran, as well as a very prudent approach by the new Iranian leadership. While new units of American troops are arriving in the region, Iran is warning that it will not accept humiliation. No one really understood exactly which new leadership he was talking about, since the regime has remained in the hands of the Khamenei family and the militants of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Pakistan, acting as a mediator between Tehran and Washington, previously announced that it is preparing to host negotiations in the coming days. And then Trump stated that, in his opinion, the US had already achieved regime change in Tehran after the top leaders were killed as a result of the strikes, and Iran's Ali Khamenei and other high-ranking officials, and he twice noted that their successors seem reasonable. This is already a very interesting signal because analysts had warned that Donald Trump might simply declare victory and leave, even if there is no real victory. Here Trump says, listen, we've already carried out regime change. If you missed it, it's happened. By the way, in Iran, they don't believe Trump at all. The Speaker of the Iranian Parliament, Mohammad Baghir Galili Ghalibaf, accused the US of sending signals about possible negotiations while simultaneously planning a ground invasion of Iran. Tehran is ready to respond if American troops are deployed, said Ghalibaf. In fact, that's partly true, because several hundred Special Forces troops have already arrived in the region. The New York Times reported this on Sunday, citing two US Defense Department officials. The American Armed Forces previously reported that several thousand US Marines arrived in the region on Friday aboard an amphibious assault ship. This is the first of two groups whose deployment was planned. Reuters reported that the Pentagon was considering military options that could include the use of ground forces. Meanwhile, in an interview published by the Financial Times on Sunday, Donald Trump said he wants to get Iranian oil and may seize the export hub, that is, Khark Island. To establish control over Khark Island, it would require the use of ground forces. And let me remind you that Khark Island accounts for 90% of Iran's oil exports, and its capture would allow the US to deliver a serious blow to Iran's energy trade. I'll leave it at that. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments below this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. Subscribe to my Telegram channel Pechiy News, the link is in the description of this video. And if you want to support the work of this YouTube channel, you can do so with a donation or a paid subscription using the links and details in the video description or by scanning the QR code on your screen. That's all for now. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye everyone.